Okay, so here we have Java program, and we're going to talk about if statements. Right here is the construction of a basic if statement. I have, of course, if with a lowercase I. Always remember that Java is case sensitive. And then inside the parentheses, I have a condition that evaluates to either true or false. So here, I'm asking whether or not wind speed, which we declared up here, is wind speed less than or greater than 30. And if it is greater than 30, then what comes next inside the curly brackets, this condition, this command rather, is run because the condition is true. And if you have the curly brackets, you can have as many commands as you want. So it doesn't just have to say that was fast. You could say that's really fast. You should run. Okay? Now, this is the most basic form of the if statement. Um, it's also possible to create an else. So in this form of the if statement, we have things that happen if the condition is true, but we're leaving alone what happens if the condition is false. So instead, we can say else, and then here we can say something like system.out.println nice day. So what will happen with this code is that if wind speed is less than or equal to 30, it'll just print nice day, semicolon. But if it's greater than 30, it'll tell you, it'll run all three of these lines. It's fast, it's really fast, you should run. Now, if statements get a little more complex than that. If a statement, if an if statement has only one line of code that it's supposed to run if the if statement is true, you don't require the curly brackets. So for instance, this is a valid if statement as well. So notice every time we have an if, because there's only one line of code, we don't have curly brackets. Now, I don't generally do it that way. That way, when I go back and make a change, I don't have to worry about manually adding the curly brackets. It's easier for me to remember to just always put the curly brackets. But in case you have a quiz at a job interview or something like that, or you're reading someone else's code, I want you to understand that this, or rather, this is valid as well. Even with the else's, notice it's because it's a single line, there's no curly brackets. Now down here we have the curly brackets because there's multiple lines of output, not because it's an else rather than an else if. So anywhere you have an if, an else if, or an else, if there's only one line for it to run, then you don't need the curly brackets. However, it's good form to do so. And so that's if statements. If you have any questions, shoot me an email or we can talk about it in class.